G'day and hello beautiful people, it is Mimo here. I am back, my voice is back to normal, so it's time to start using it again with another Road to Survival video. Now I've just had some massive changes when it comes to my weapon inventory, some massive upgrades, had some critical success with some really good stats going on, and some failures also, but you'll see that in future videos. Now the reason I'm talking about this is this brought to my attention the subject of ultra rare items, and in particular your duct tape and your polishing kits. Now when the armory was first introduced, we had two major options of trying to obtain these ultra rare items, and that was through not only your ultra rare item maps that were coming up, which were they weren't a frequent thing and they'll pop up every now and then, and it was very rarely that we'd actually see them. We also were limited in the time we were allowed to actually farm these maps. And then the second option, which I think became the most popular option, was disassembling your 4-star weapons. And you know, I guess in a way you could sort of throw in that they appeared in the shop, but you would pay a ridiculous amount of money to either get any of these ultra rare items in a shop, so it's not really worth it. So they were your two major sources of actually getting them. And like I said, the disassembling of the 4-star weapons become the popular way of trying to obtain these ultra rare items. Now these days, if we transfer to the more modern day Road to Survival, that's not really the case anymore. We have them, well, in a way, they're a lot more fruitful in the way they hand out these polishing kits, the duct tape, the ultra rare items, and we have an abundance of them in the game and available to us. And that sort of brings me to the subject: is disassembling your 4-star weapons really a viable resource for trying to obtain these items anymore? Not really. If you think about it, there's no need to really disassemble your 4-star weapons in huge bundles and huge bunches like we once did, just purely because, as you can see here, you can get huge amounts of duct tapes and polishing kits from other resources, and also your ultra rare items, other items that you use for your things. You think of your etching acids and things like that. And the reason for that is, as you can see here, they're a lot more frequently available in events. So if you think about your tournament rewards, you get bags that can contain either one or either, or can contain a set of both of them, and you can get multiple of those bags depending on your rank. But they're not only available in your overall tournament rewards, but also your milestone rewards. You can get bags and multiple of them in those sorts of things as well. And then you move over to other things, like you got them available in Survival Road, they pop up every now and then, and you also got them available in the shop still, but like I said, just steer clear of that because you'll pay a ridiculous amount. And then also, when it comes, if you sort of throw back to your ultra rare item maps, you can farm them a lot more frequently, just purely because they appear on a much more regular basis. Now they're not like your XP maps that appear constantly at the same time every time, but you get to see the ultra rare item maps a lot more frequently than we did in the beginning. So you have a lot of ways to actually obtain these polishing kits and duct tapes, which makes the need to actually disassemble your 4-star weapons not really necessary. My advice when it comes to disassembling your 4-star weapons is try and keep it to a minimal. You don't really need that resource anymore. Basically, I think you're probably thinking to yourself right now, when it comes to disassembling the 4-star weapons, if we were to actually be completely honest with ourselves and be real frank with ourselves, the odds were never really there. As you can see, rarely disassembled from ultra rare or better weapons. Now, if we were to put a stat on that, rarely, it'd probably be about 5 to 10%, and that's being really cautious and I think generous with the numbering, because in reality it's probably actually lower than that. So like I said, the odds are never really there. That's from both personal experience and also seeing other players do it. So you can disassemble huge bundles of weapons and get neither of a duct tape or a polish kit or any of the other important weapons. Usually you get a lot of the same weapons over and over again, which, you know, it doesn't really come in handy because you're after the more rarer weapons, which are your polishing kits, your duct tape, your etching acid and things like that. So the odds aren't really there, and I think that's another reason why you need to steer clear of it. Now you might be saying to yourself, but there's now a territory bonus of plus 25% when disassembling ultra rare weapons. Suburbia is the name of that from the top of my head. Now, when it comes to the 25%, it really does next to nothing when disassembling your weapons. Now, if you are disassembling your weapons, I would say try and hold that territory. It may increase your odds slightly, and it's very slightly. Being that we don't know the raw statistics and the raw number of that rarely, we can't really say that it's actually adding on a 25% bonus, unless you can see the bonus being added on in regards to an actual raw data number effect and like XP and things like that. Then you're not going going to know the true extent of that plus 25% bonus. For all we know, it could be a 2.5% bonus in reality by the time everything's added on. But like I said, from personal experience, I've had next to no luck with that, and I know most players are much the same. So it's not, even with that territory bonus, the odds are still extremely low and not really there. Now you might be saying to yourself, what else am I meant to do with these 4-star weapons that I'm holding on to? The reason why you don't want to disassemble your 4-star weapons at the same rate that you were previously is it's a lot much valuable to you to have an abundance of weapons within your weapon inventory. And the reason for that is it will save you polishing kits and duct tape in the long run. And how will it do that? Well, we actually have things called bad weapons, and I guess what you could call predetermined hell of a weapons, and they will fail critical over and over, and you'll have to pump a lot of polishing kits, duct tapes and other resources into them just trying to get them to succeed. Now disassemble those bad boys, because you don't want those in your roster. The reason for having a lot of weapons is that you have a lot of duplicates of that weapons. It allows you a lot more freedom when it comes to your upgrading of your weapons, and allows you to breathe a bit easier. And the reason for that is if you had a bit of critical success here and there, a few failures, instead of restarting your weapons all the time, you're able just to start up fresh on a new weapon. So it allows you to keep some of those imperfect weapons that don't get the full stats and the maximum stats that you want, and start up on the other ones trying to chase that perfect weapon. And imperfect weapons can still come in very handy in your inventory, and it's a really good resource to have. And like I said, it's better to have a fruitful weapons inventory than disassembling a bunch of 4-star weapons and get next to nothing that's going to help you in the long run. But as always, hope you did enjoy. Please let me know what you think, and thanks for watching.